Damn, I haven't done this in a while. Is it rolling? Is it? What's up, guys? It's your boy cielshock from CTUSA Mini4wd Drive Racing Squad, and I'm a teacher here in Noobworx. And yes, I'm back. It's been a while. We have our new crib and our new workstation setup, as you can see. It's pretty slick. We did a lot of moving, so a lot happened in 2020. So we did a little break. Hope everybody's safe and healthy. And now that the races are coming back slowly, make sure you guys wear your mask and wear your face shield or whatever protocol that you guys have to do. Keep washing your hands and be safe. And before I start my video, I want to say shout out to High Speed Matrixx Oil and High Speed Matrixx Power Cleaner. If you guys are interested with these two products, I got the link in the description below. And if you guys are into 90s street clothing, it's very nostalgic like this and like this, and especially that one on top because that's my design. I have the link in the description below. Yo Clothing, they have all the stuff that you needed. They have like t-shirts, long sleeve hoodies, snapbacks, hats, all the stuff. And without any blah blah, let's get into the video. We're gonna talk about Atomic Tune motor. What's up, Noobworx? So let's talk about these bad boys right here. As you can see, these are the Atomic Tune motors. We got a single shaft over here and we got double shaft over here. So let's get into it. Atomic Tune motors is a balanced type motor similar with a Hyper Mini motor. If you guys are interested with a Hyper Mini motor, I got a separate video about that. Just check out my playlist. And Atomic Tune motor is less power and less torque compared to a torque tune motor, and also less RPM compared to a rev tune motor. That's why it's well balanced. So these are good for a power and technical track layout, especially in tune class. So that's why when you're looking for, when you slightly coursing out, when you have a torque tune motor, or you need a little bit more torque if you're using a rev tune. So it's like kind of in between, you know what I mean? So Atomic Tune motor was released by Mamuchi Motors back in 1997. It's actually June 10th, 1997. That was the first Atomic Tune motor was released. On that same year, Japan Cup 1997 was held. And Tamiya releases this Atomic Tune motor with a Japan Cup special version that looks like this. I don't have it with me, but as you can see in the picture, that's what it looked like. Little trivia for you guys. Back in the days, the Japan Cup racers are different compared to the races nowadays. The racers are actually given with specific motors, and it come to happen that it's an Atomic Tune, so they made a Japan Cup special of it. All right. So moving forward, the Atomic Tune 1 looks like this. It's item number 15215. Again, it's item number 15215. It's the only Atomic Tune motor with a gray end bell. The rest of them have silver housing like this, but this is the only one with a gray end bell like this. It is manufactured by Mamuchi Motors, and the second version is manufactured by SMC. The RPM for this motor is 13,700, which is lesser with the rev tune. And the torque is 14 grams per centimeter. Again, the torque is 14 grams per centimeter. Lesser with the torque tune. I'll explain it later. And I will tally every stats of this four. But for now, I'm giving you the stats. The battery consumption of the first version is 1,300 milliamperes. Again, that's 1,300 mAh, which is milliamperes for the first version. The second version is 1,500 to 1,900 milliamperes. That was the one that was released by SMC. The weight is 17 grams, pretty light, perfect for tune class. And that's about it for the first Atomic Tune motor. Moving forward, after 18 years, Tamiya decided to release a new Atomic Tune motor, which is the Atomic Tune 2 motor. So you can see there's a difference with the end bell and the labeling. Now it does have a black label. It was released in July 4th, 2015. And as you can see, the label is very obvious, and now it's a black anvil, and it's manufactured by SMC Motors. It's item number 15486. Again, it's item number 15486, manufactured by SMC Motor, released in July 4th, 2015. Its RPM is 12,700 revolution per minute to 14,900 RPM, so it can go in between two. The torque is 1.5 to 1.8 millinewtons per meter. Again, it's 1.5 to 1.8 millinewtons per meter. That's the torque of this new Atomic Tune 2 motor. The battery consumption is 1.8 to 2.2 amps. Again, it's 1.8 to 2.2 amps. And the weight is still the same. It's 17 grams. As you can see, there's the difference if you can look at them. Labeling and bell manufacturer. And that's it for Atomic Tune 2 motor. Alright, after that, going back, Tamiya released the Atomic Tune Pro, released by SMC Motor. This is released back in December 17, 2005. So that is like 8 years after the original single shaft Atomic Tune. Now they released the double shaft Atomic Tune Pro. So the rise of the double shaft began, so they have to make a double shaft now, as you can see. Only the Atomic Tune Pro comes with the breast pinion gear straight out from the box. That's, you gotta remember that. The first one's straight out from the box with brass. These are the originals. Again, it's manufactured by SMC Motor. The RPM is 13,700, and the torque is 14 grams per centimeter. The battery consumption is 1,300 mAh, 1,300 milliamperes to be specific. And it's also, its weight is 18.7 grams. So by saying that 18.7 grams, this is heavier compared to the single shaft ones. It's probably because of the brass pinion gears and also because it's double shaft. So again, Atomic Tune Pro, item number 15351. Fast forward again, 2015, same time that the Atomic Tune 2 was released, Atomic Tune 2 Pro is released as well. Black anvil, manufactured by SMC Motors. And as you can see, the labeling is different too compared to the first one. It's now the Atomic Tune 2 single shaft and the double shaft is pretty identical, only with the double shaft logo for the Pro version. Item number 15489. Again, it's item number 15489. It's also released back in July 4th, 2015, and its RPM is 12,300 to 14,500. Again, that's 12,300 to 14,500 RPM. Its torque is 1.6 to 1.8 millinewton per meter. Again, it's 1.6 to 1.8 millinewton per meter. And its battery consumption is 1.5 to 1.7 amperes. Again, it's 1.5 to 1.7 amperes. And its weight is 18.7 grams. Same as the first Atomic Tune Pro motor. So I guess it's not the brass pinion gears that's making it heavy. It's just the whole motor itself. Alright, so that's everything you need to know about Atomic Tune. So let's go to the stats now. We were going to compare all the stats, and we were going to figure out which is better for your racing, or what suits up for your category that you're racing. And at the end of the video, make sure you stay, and I will give you some advice where you can actually use this Atomic Tune motor, and some tips and some trivias about it. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so here's a diagram of the RPM, torque, battery consumption, and weight of the Atomic 1 and Atomic Tune 2. These are both single shafts. So let's start with the RPM right here. As you can see, the RPM of the Atomic 1 is 13,700 RPM, and the Atomic Tune 2 is 12,700 to 14,900. By the way, let me remind you guys, this is not coming from me, this is coming from Tamiya. So these two comparisons right here, so you can see the Atomic Tune 2 have more capability of going faster or more top speed revolution per minute compared to the Atomic Tune 1. But Atomic Tune 1 is probably more consistent because it's 13,700. Because Atomic Tune 2 can go as low as 12,700 and it can go high as 14,900. It really depends how you push it, the motor, when you break it in. Okay, so let's move on to torque right here, my favorite stat. So it's 14 grams per centimeter when it comes to Atomic 1, and then Atomic Tune 2 is 1.5 to 1.8 millinewtons per meter. In order to obtain the RPM right here that we were talking about, you have to have this certain weight, 14 grams or 1.5 to 1.8 millinewtons per meter when it comes to the other motor, in order for you to obtain that top speed that you got. So in order to get that top speed and you get the optimal torque, you have to be at least 14 grams per centimeter with the Atomic 1, and you have to be at least 1.5 to 1.8 millinewton when it comes to Atomic Tune 2. So if you can go lighter to 14 grams per and 1.5 to 1.8 millinewton, you should be good, either motors. But what I'm trying to say here is you just have to make your car light as much as possible in order to obtain that RPM that we are aiming for. All right, so the next stat would be the battery consumption. It's 13,000. I mean, it's 1,300 mAh for the first version and 1,500 to 1,900 amps when it comes to the Atomic 1 compared to 1.8 to 2.2 amps of the Atomic 2. So it's very obvious over here that the Atomic 2 sucks a lot of power. So just be mindful about that it will take a lot of battery from your batteries, a lot of power, a lot of electric consumption. It needs a lot of amps to get pushed or for the motor to perform as we expected straight out from the box. With the Atomic Tune 2 and the Atomic Tune 1, you just be mindful with those two stats, because the Atomic Tune 2 will suck a lot of battery. Might be wondering, it's like, why does my Atomic Tune 2 sucks more battery than the Atomic 1? Because that's because it sucks more battery. It's stated by Tamiya. All right, weight is pretty much given because they're both 17 grams, as you can see. So they're pretty even with weight. So that will come in play when you're building your car. So this stats is only from the motor. So your overall build will be the one that's like determining how is your overall performance of your car. Well, motor is only one part of the build. All right. So if you're gonna ask me on my opinion, which is better? For me, they're both good. It depends how you just compensate weaknesses. But if you're gonna make me pick which motor I'm gonna use, I'm gonna use Atomic 2, because I want more power, and even though it sucks a lot of battery, I can compensate with that by using a different kind of battery. And also, it depends on the track layout. If it's a long track layout, I probably use Atomic 1, so I can save more battery. And the key is here just to make the car as light as possible by using these motors. But this motor is pretty balanced. Of course, you will get more RPM and you get more torque with the Atomic 2, the lighter you do. But Atomic 1 will also get the job done because it's pretty consistent. It's only the two versions that you have to be mindful, because the first version and the second version have different battery consumption, because the second version sucks more battery compared to the first version when it comes to Atomic 1. But all in all, both of these motors are really awesome, and hope this is helpful. So let's move on to the Atomic Tune Pros. Alright guys, so let's move on with the double shafts. Alright, so we'll start with the RPM again. Atomic Tune Pro double shaft have 13,700 compared to the Pro 2, which is 12,300 to 14,500. It's very obvious that the Atomic Pro 2 have more RPM capabilities, but it does have a low RPM capabilities too. So it depends how you push it in when you break in your motors. And also, if you can compare this to your single shafts have more RPM or top speed compared to these motors, because these are double shafts. If you remember on my old videos and my topics, and if you're also a veteran with this hobby, you already know that double shafts have more torque compared to the single shafts, and single shafts have more revolution per minute, which is more top speed. Why so? Because double shafts have more gears to push, so they have more power, and they're more direct when it comes to its gear build compared to the single shafts. But it does have lesser top speed, but it does have a lot of torque. And single shafts have more top speed, which is RPM, with lesser torque. Yeah, keep that in mind. All right, so let's go to my favorite stat again, which is the torque. All right, torque is 14 grams per centimeter with a Pro 1, and the Pro 2 is 1.6 to 1.8 for a millinewton right here. So that means that with the Pro series, with the Atomic Tune Pro, it's pretty much the same with a Pro 1. But with the Pro 2, you can go heavier with your build, a little bit slightly heavier, because you can go at least 1.8 millinewton in order to have that torque that you were trying to obtain. All right, next would be the battery consumption. It's 1,300 mAh compared to 1.5 to 1.7 amps. Obviously, the Atomic Tune Pro sucks more battery because it can give more power due to its RPM, and also it can take heavier builds, so it sucks more battery. That's the downfall with it compared to 1,300 mAh of the Pro 1. So keep that in mind too. And obviously, because the weight of this motors are heavier, so that explains how much battery it sucks. And also, that also explains why it does have a lesser top speed, and because it's a double shaft. All right, so let me go back to the camera and give you some tips and things that you need to know and remember about Atomic Tune motors. Alright, with all that said, here are some tips and advice and things to remember that you need to know about Atomic Tune motor. Alright, number one, remember this. Atomic Tune motor is a balanced motor. It's less torque than a torque tune, and it's less top speed / RPM / rev compared to a rev tune. Well, that said, it is perfect, or it's really good for a track layout that needs power and you need some stability. Though it will be lesser with torque and less top speed compared to rev, but that is your like gray shade out there, if you know what I mean, like kind of in between. Number two, remember the difference between the single shaft and double shaft all the time. So an Atomic Tune single shaft and an Atomic Tune double shaft, obviously the double shaft will have more torque and the single shaft will have more top speed but less torque. As I've said with my old video with my other tune motors, there are two differences with that. Even though the Atomic Tune motor have double shaft have more torque, it will still not be torquey compared to a torque tune motor. And even though an Atomic Tune single shaft have more RPM or top speed compared to a double shaft Atomic Tune motor, it's still not going to be over the rev tune. Always remember that the difference of the single shaft and double shaft motor Atomic Tune. What kind of commentators, or remember what kind of commentators that these two motors have, even the double shaft. Okay, so the Atomic 1 does have a plastic commutator, and then the Atomic 2 have a brass commutator. And why did I mention this two fun facts? It's not just for shit and giggles. Atomic 1, so it will make sense now. All the stats that we mentioned earlier. Atomic 1 have lesser torque and lesser top speed, RPM, and everything compared to an Atomic 2 because the commutator is plastic, and brass commutator is a better conductor when it comes to battery or electric consumption, and the brass commutator also gets worn out faster, but it can have it can get pushed to a higher torque and higher top speed because the electric flow is much better compared to a plastic commutator. The downside on that is brass commutator can get worn out real quick, and the plastic commutator will last longer. So that's kind of like your decision making that you're gonna do. Am I gonna buy an atomic tune one that will last me for a little bit, and atomic two that I have a tendency that I might burn it, especially on a lot of heats, or especially on tune class that you'll be using this a lot of times. But if you want that power, and all of that speed that you needed, atomic tune is the way to go. So remember that. Plastic commutator, atomic 1, atomic 2, brass commutator. All right. Battery consumption. That will come in play, especially when it comes to races. Though atomic tune is in between atomic torque tune and rev tune, you still have to remember the battery consumption, because double shaft obviously will suck more battery, and the atomic 2 will suck more battery because, as I've said earlier, it does have a brass commutator, so it burns more, it sucks more power, sucks more electricity, battery consumption is higher. So you'll be surprised, like, it will sucks more battery compared to an atomic 1. So you have to have another, decision to make when picking motors. If it's atomic 1 or 2, is learn to compensate the weakness of a atomic tune motor and maximize its strength by gear ratios and wheel setup. I said that because a lot of people have a misconception. Oh, I have an atomic tune motor. It's a balanced motor. Oh, I could just, use this and it will be balanced and it will be stable. It's not like that. So as I've said earlier, atomic tune have less torque. So let's say if it does have less torque and you're racing on a short track and you're racing against people that using torque tune and you don't have any other motors available, or it's just say that build was made for atomic tune, these are the adjustments or how to compensate it. You can just compensate it by putting smaller wheels, lighter setup, or playing with the gear ratios, like lesser gear ratio. Like your Mini 4-wheel drive IQ or your Mini 4-wheel drive setup decision making will come in play. But always remember, try to compensate or strengthen its weakness with the gear ratio or by changing the wheels, and also maximize its strength. So let's say it's have less rev or top speed, you can maximize that stability by changing your gear ratios or your wheel setup too. So remember that, compensate the atomic tune's weakness and maximize its strength. Okay, let's analyze the track layout when using an atomic tune, so it goes hand in hand. So you have to take a look at the track layout if you need more power or torque, or if you need a lot of top speed. So if you have a lot of straights or a long layout, obviously rev tune would be a good choice. If it's a short track with a lot of obstacles and more technical and you need a lot of torque up hills and shit like that. But if you were seeing like a speed tech track layout that you have a lot of speed that you need, but you have to make it balanced and you have to make it stable, atomic tune is one of the good motors that you can easily adjust on the track layout. So analyze the track layout, especially on a speed tech layout with a tune class category. Always remember that, analyze the track layout. All right, last but not the least, be mindful with the weight. I always tell you guys, when you're racing tune class, especially the tune class category, make it light as much as possible, because tune motors are not as powerful as Hyper Dash, Power Dash, or higher motors over there, Sprint Dash or whatever. All right, make your car light as much as possible. You have to look at the torque category that I mentioned earlier. When I did the chart, that is the weight guide that you can take a look. Oh, I gotta be lighter, or I gotta be heavier. Always be mindful with the weight. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. I guess that's all you need to know about this atomic tune motor. Always remember that this is a well-balanced motor. All right? Oh my God, I love this motor because it's great. All right, so this is cielshock from CTUSA Mini 4-wheel drive racing squad, and I'm a teacher here at Noobworx. It's nice to be back. Just subscribe and hit like, hit that bell button so every time I make a video, you'll get it. All right? Always race humble. Peace.